Welcome back to another video. Woo! I'm done wearing this hat. I am Resident Loser Jeremy, and I like trying out DAWs. As you probably know by now, I come from the world of Pro Tools, but I like to see what else is out there, what other options are floating, what else can I learn from the DAWs, what of their powers can I take from each, and then create the super DAW. I'm way too into this at this point. Today's DAW of choice, Logic. This one is heavily requested by you guys in the comments down below. I am down. I actually own Logic. I've used it a few times for pre-production, so I kind of know my ins and outs, but it's a very different use case as far as using the software to come from pre-production and being creative and using the sounds, which Logic is great with. But doing it for mixing, editing, how quick can I get up and running coming from Pro Tools in something like Logic? Will it work with all of my gear? That is yet to be seen, and it's a very different way to think about Logic than I'm used to and how I actually use it. Today's video is sponsored by Sweetwater, but let's talk about that later. As always with these videos, this is not a mix tutorial. I'm poking around trying to figure out what I can figure out if I can learn something from these DAWs like Studio One, Cubase, Reaper. I learned so much. I'm interested to see what I can pull from Logic and if I'm gonna have that same kind of quick momentum, because it seems like what everything has brought to the table so far is speed. Like, if you can't be Pro Tools for whatever that comment is worth, what else can you bring? And Logic, I know it brings a creative mind to the table in a way that's way easier than a lot of other things. So what can it do as far as mixing? Can I make it work for me? As always, the cringe factor of these videos is high. I am not a pro when it comes to Logic. This is how realistic is it for us as engineers to take a look at some of these other DAWs? How fluid are they? Will something like this work with your workflow? I'm looking myself to see what else is out there. If you're looking at a feature and I dislike it, that may be great for you. Without further ado, let's jump into Logic. So here we are in Logic. Immediately it's asking me if I want to choose a track type. It's going to get me started to just jump right in. Outputs, 15, 16, that's perfect. That's where my outputs are for my burls. That's where my speakers are. Let's go ahead and create. Okay. I know the song we're going to pull in is 150. This one I kind of know a little bit about. I use Logic a lot for pre-production. I say a lot. I've used it like 3 or 4 times years ago. Now, the things that I have used Logic for in the past have been pre-production, working with artists, kind of creating songs, because Logic is great at that. It has tons of loops already built in, tons of sounds right there at your fingertips, but this is definitely a different use case. This is mixing. Let's pull in the track that I do have permission to use. This is not a finished track. Okay, add selected files to tracks, create new tracks, create new track. It knows it was at 48 kilohertz, change the project, perfect. It changed the burls. Okay, where are the files? I don't see a progress bar. I'm kind of freaking out right now. I'm just gonna sit and wait, see what happens. Hey, this is definitely gonna be a different one. For some reason, Source Nexus is not working, so I'm having to do this kind of a weird way to capture the audio. How quick can I get a mix up and running in something like Logic? Coming from the world of Pro Tools, having tried a bunch of other DAWs, what can these other DAWs teach me? I'm having a blast learning these other things, and if you're along for the ride, hit the subscribe button. But here we are in Logic. Let's get rolling. So the goals here I have are getting a mix generally put together. I would like to be able to edit some drums, so we're gonna try that out too. So let's go. First off, let's make sure that our preferences, our key commands are set to Pro Tools. Perfect. Pull up the mixer. I don't know why it pulls in this other output. It's kind of weird. So right off the bat, I'm gonna start with a couple things here just to set up the master. So I'm gonna set up a gain. Let's go to, oh, you can't type what you want. Oh, crap. There's no automatic search function when you go to search for a plugin. That's infuriating. Oh, man, I'm gonna have to remember who makes all these plugins. Okay, let's get that. Golfoss. Who the heck makes Golfoss? Oh my gosh. Oh no. Oh, this is annoying. Oh, but okay. Sound Theory. Hey. And then I need Billy Decker. I already know I'm going to be typing plugins through this whole thing. And then from there, I want to go to I/O. Utility, I/O, stereo. Okay, so my MBP is on output 9 and 10. So output 9 and 10, input 9 and 10. So if I play, I should have generally everything in the right spot here. Nice. And I have audio on the Neve, so that's a good sign. Let's just real quick. Can I, what? Cancel. I don't want to close. Okay. I'm going to pull down this gain just for headroom's sake. And I know Logic is a true 32-bit environment. So if you're clipping on any fader, if you bring it back at any point, you're golden as far as gain staging goes. And me not being very familiar with this environment, I'm going to lean on that pretty heavy. Let's go to like a chorus. I set my fab filter up this way. I have had questions of why I high pass and low pass the mix bus, and that's mainly because I am using outboard gear. I don't want to overload my converters with a ton of low end information or worry about aliasing coming, so I'm low passing it below the Nyquist. So if we're at 48 kilohertz, if I put any kind of a low pass below 24 kilohertz, it's going to mitigate those reflections that would come back down from Nyquist. And if you don't know what that means, go check out Dan Warhol's video. I'll post it up here. Right now we got to say thanks to today's sponsor, Sweetwater. I love working with Sweetwater. I live fairly close to them. It is an amazing place to go and just see everything you could imagine as far as music and music related things go. The sales staff is great. Anytime I have a question, I know I can trust them to give me good advice. With all these DAW videos, most of these you can pick up at Sweetwater, and I will leave links down below that you can check those out. But there's one thing in particular that I want to show you. This is the Earthworks DM20, and it is my favorite close miking drum mic. I definitely have my fair share of 57s, 421s, KSM32s, which I love on toms, but these are fantastic. I think the pushback they get with them is how they're sold some of the times online. People say that they reject bleed like crazy. They do not. Bleed definitely comes through on this mic, but the thing is, its off-axis sound is great. Think about the bleed you would hear from a 421 on a tom and how gross it is. This sounds fantastic. I have a whole set of these for my drums, so I will post a link to this, all the gear I use down below. Thank you, Sweetwater, for sponsoring. Now back to the video. So I'm just setting this to settings that I know pretty well here. Things that I would do on just about typically every mix just to get me started. So there's no like double click, command click, option click to get things back to normal. That's weird, at least in these plugins, which I have used in other DAWs a lot. Think I'm allergic. Goodbye. Okay, that looks about right. Now, from what I do know about Logic is that groups are not really called groups, or at least getting them in something that resembles a group or an aux. I guess they're called stacks. So, and I'm probably going to use the nomenclature wrong. Create a track stack right there, I'm assuming. Folder track, what is that? Basic folder lets you mute solo. Okay, and then a summing track. That's what I want. So everything is now going through this. That's perfect. Drums. I see right here, group. I have never used this before, but I think this is what I want. Heck yeah. Oh, yes. Okay, let's grab everything else and just put everything we would possibly need into stacks. So keys, let's put those in a stack. So this first guitar here It's kind of my lo-fi guitar. You definitely used as like just a vibe in the track. So I'm going to put that on something all on its own. And then the next one is kind of like the lead guitar. Let's go to a section that guitar actually plays. I'm going to zoom in on this waveform. Maybe. Where's that at? Huh. Oh, it's right here. There we go. Yeah, that's our lead. So let's put him in a stack and let's start treating this the way I normally would. Oh dear. Right. Oh, you can't type plugins. God, oh, that's gonna be so freaking annoying. Okay, talk about slowing down the process. Jeez. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just move on to drums for right now. Now that I have basically that stuff organized, let's pan some of these guys. Pan this one. Okay, let's take a look at our drums. So right off the bat, if you've watched me any amount of time, you know I'm reaching for Billy Decker. Billy Decker drums. Boom. I do like that a lot of the Pro Tools hotkeys just work here. And I pushed a lot of color into this drum set right off the bat, but I believe there is a snare duplicate. There sure is. So let's get rid of this track. We don't need it. How the heck did I just start the click track? Oh no. How did I do that? C. Okay. Still getting used to some of these hotkeys here. Now we're vibing. So let's pull. I like that you have like gain reduction and EQ just right there on the track that you can easily get to. So let's just see what we have here. Vintage snare. Perfect. Okay. But I want that over here. I wonder if there's something to like subdue these hi-hats a little bit. One thing Logic has going for it is just a ton of tools ready to go for you. There we go. Let's see about a kick drum, huh? A little aggressive, but that's not bad. I don't hate it. Let's see about crushing some rooms. Why not? Okay, so let's see about editing some drums. So, I know I want flex time slicing, so it's going to analyze the transients. Okay, now I'm going to open up one of these, turn on flex time. Dope. So I believe you go to File, Detect Transients. Perfect. Now I know there's a way to actually turn on this. and I'm missing it. Ah, I need to set quantize locked here. Okay, so I'm gonna turn that off and then back on. Maybe I screwed something up by the order in which I did it. Okay. There we go. Gotta make your groups active, I guess. So I know using the Q will look at what I want to reference. So now I set my quantize to 8. Is it just gonna do it? And it just did it. So if I zoom way in then. So the only thing that bugs me is there's not a whole lot of feedback here. All right, so if I'm back on my drums, I adjusted one of the hit points because I just don't think it did what I wanted it to do. And just like that, it gets it. Okay, cue reference. Then you can change the strength. I'm gonna keep it at 100. Heck yeah. Okay. I mean, it's a little convoluted to edit drums in Logic, and I think everybody would agree with that. And I'm sure there's multiple ways to do it if you're doing everything manually, but part of having a really good drummer is that you can do stuff fast like that in Pro Tools, and it would be really, really dependable. Being able to do that here is also pretty cool. I'm not sure I completely trust it yet, but that's okay. So let's move to our vocal for now. And again, this is recorded on a phone. I mean, pull the mixer back up. Actually, there's a couple more things I want out of it. I would like, I don't care, bus 20, whatever. I'm gonna make a reverb here. I hate that I can't type in what I want. Oh, it's killing me. I mean, creating auxes is pretty dang easy. So if I have all the drums selected, will it send all of them to whatever I select? That's cool. Will it set? Yes. Okay, cool. So set all these to 0-ish. In Pro Tools, I know there's an option that as soon as you pull up an aux, it'll automatically put it at unity. And I'm sure there's an option here. I just am not familiar with it. So let's do like a distortion channel. I don't care what it is. Distortion 2. What is this? It's not really what I'm going for. What other distortion things might we have? Decapitator, always a good choice. And then I might want to do something like lo-fi on these drums a little bit. Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Let's get the vocals going here. Again, recorded on a phone, just as a scratch track for reference for us. She is coming to record the vocals. I'm pumped to finally get this stuff done. So, not exactly how I would normally do something like this, but hey, let's roll with the punches. So, I would like Arvox. We will use that gate to help us out a little bit. I want some EQ here. What is the EQ for like a female vocal? That's disgusting. I don't want that. There's normally like a pop vocal that's pretty close. Okay, I don't want that low end though. Something like that. And I'm gonna pull this low, the high pass up. Okay. Oh, move the mouse up and down. I see. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. Won't end up like the last. I need a de-esser because, again, a phone. Oh, jeez. Who makes what? Ah, I hate this. I wish I could search. I want a de-esser. I would start typing DS and use whatever pops up. It's forcing me to slow down and think about things, and I'm like, I keep getting knocked out of it. Won't end up like the last. And why not? Let's get a little reverby with some Valhalla. I always go for this rich chamber. It's just so good. Won't end up like the last. Won't end up like the last. Just to give a little space. Won't end up like the last. So I want to see how side chains work here. So what I want to do is pull up Sonable Smart Comp. And I did this on another video, but this is super useful about this plugin in particular. And no, not sponsored by Sonable. We can use the external side chain. How do I okay, side chain, audio. Oh, perfect. I can just tell it to come straight from the vocal. So I have it set to external sidechain. I have it coming from the vocal. I'm going to tell it to learn a vocal. Let's just set it to vocal bus. And it's going to learn how to basically compress a vocal. But that doesn't matter because this is just a sidechain. So let's hit play. Won't end up like the last. I guess I should play a part of the song that actually has some vocals in it. That would be just too helpful, Jeremy. Every stranger we walk past. Is it the way they smile or hold open a door? Okay, so now it has an idea of what it wants to do with the vocal, but it's using that as a sidechain. So it's going to compress the keys, referencing those vocals. But the cool thing about this, there's a spectral balance here. So it's going to take the EQ of that voice and decide how to compress the keys. So if I set that to dark, now it's going to darken those keys whenever the vocalist sings in relation to the vocal EQ. Now take a spectral link. Check this out. If it's set to 0, it's going to apply broadband compression to the rest of the thing outside of that spectral range that I set. If I set it to 100, it won't compress a thing outside of that spectral thing. So if I'm going to set this to 100, the vocal starts singing, it's going to darken the keys accordingly. And as soon as she stops singing, it'll brighten them right back up. So I can keep those huge, bright keys and just barely get them to duck when she sings. That's perfect. It's just going to back off a little bit. The only thing I don't know here, because I'm not using my room correction, is I have no idea what our mix balance is. If we're bright, if we're dark. I really want to lean into that lo-fi thing, and I need to really bring my guitars up. Every stranger we walk past. Is it the way they smile or hold open a door? Knowing it won't end up like the last. Let's work on this bass a little bit. What do we have as far as like amps? Bass amp? Okay, perfect. Models. Classic. Okay, like an SVT. Flip top. That's probably what I'm going to want. Direct box. Like an Avalon. Okay. I'm going to go with a flip top. Is there like, what presets do we have here? Like 70s. That's actually pretty cool. And I can't type. Okay. I'm looking for double tap. Who makes double tap? Oh my gosh. Submission. There it is. Okay. Gosh, this This is one of those things, like, I feel like Apple just misses the boat on. I mean, this Logic is cool. But that slows me down.
Is it the way they smile or hold open a door?
Killer. Now, what does bouncing look like since... Can I do this? Yeah, I'll take an MP3. Sure. I can't do offline because we're using the outboard gear. Normalize. Why not? Now let's just decide to bounce an instrumental. Cool. So my thoughts on this one, I have used Logic for a lot of pre-production stuff. It is powerful. There's a lot here. There's a lot of creative tools if you were a songwriter or somebody really, really creative minded that also needed to do some of these things like mix and master your own stuff, lightly edit. But for me, I feel very hindered. And I might get over that the more time I spend in Logic because I do get going. The issue, the main thing that is snapping me out of this is not being able to search my plugin database. That's a huge bummer. And it seems like such a little thing. Like, why can't that be written in? I don't understand why that isn't here. Of all the things Logic can do, why that? And it's one of those things that just keeps you moving and keeps you in the moment. That would be a game ender for me right there. Like, I would feel crippled. If I had to work in Logic, I could mix a record in here, but I wouldn't have a good time. As far as between this and Pro Tools, I would stick with Pro Tools above this. And that is not a right or wrong thing. It's a lot of that has to do with what I already know going into this. But that said, I have tried out Cubase, I have tried out Studio One. There's a lot more on the list. If anybody knows anybody at Universal Audio, I'm trying to find a way I can use Luna. I don't have any gear to be able to use it. I have a satellite, but that is not enough. You need an actual Apollo interface to use Luna, which is kind of a bummer. So if anybody wants to send me an interface, let me know. I'd love to try Luna out because I hear good things. If you guys want to see Luna, let me know down below. Thank you, Sweetwater, for sponsoring this. I'm Resident Loser Jeremy. I'll see you in the next one.